Welcome into Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. From the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager and Hayden Gilbert. Guys, happy December 1st. It's hard to believe that we are already in December and that this week marks the semifinals of the playoffs. First, we're going to start out by giving an update with this Gainesville and Brunswick situation. Guys, we've been talking about this for the past week and a half, but just to start off, Hayden, I'm going to let you recap what initially happened with this situation.
So from the beginning, Gainesville and Brunswick got into a fight on the field that caused both benches to clear, and the game was canceled in their second round matchup. Since then, the GHSA suspended 39 players. Gainesville appealed that suspension. 4 of the suspensions were overturned. Then last week, Gainesville filed a injunction with the Hall County Superior Court. The Hall County Superior Court overturned all those suspensions. At this point, we are sitting in sort of a limbo. As of right now, the GHSA has not yet filed an appeal with the appeals court, but it has stated they intend to. They are meeting, I believe, at 2:30 today with Gainesville and the other 5A schools to talk this through for what the future holds, and to try to get a schedule and try to get everything worked out today.
So after these meetings, what is going to be learned from this point on moving forward?
I mean, it really just depends on if they can come to terms on suspensions, stuff like that. Right now, it's really in this limbo situation because the GHSA has 30 days to file this appeal, and they don't have to play these games. Right now, it really comes down to how this meeting goes today and what comes out of this meeting.
And Hayden, we actually had a meeting earlier talking about all these 5A games being postponed. Just talk about what this might look like and what it might look like futuristically with even the state championship and where this game might be played at.
I mean, with the postponement of it, at this point, none of those games are going to be played this Friday. They are going to push them back. How far back is the question? There is some thought that this championship game may not be played at Mercedes-Benz. Where it will be played will be a question that we have to be answered. I know last time they weren't able to play at Mercedes-Benz, I believe it was 2017. They played them at one of the home sites. That year was a little different. There was snow involved. The games were canceled. However, I don't know if they have to move it from Mercedes-Benz will be at a neutral site or at home or at one of the home stadiums.
And then what I find interesting, Hayden, is this meeting today, 2 p.m., it's with every semifinal team. So you're looking at the situation. Gainesville is the one that's most impacted. Will they get these players back? Won't they? And then you have Hughes, their opponent. They're just sitting to wait when the game's going to be played, waiting to find out who is going to be suspended or not. But what's your take on just the classification as a whole, and how they're going to balance this and make sure that the teams have a fair opportunity on both sides of the bracket with the resting days?
I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, you're basically giving all these teams more bye time, more time to practice, more time to get ready for this game, but also time to get rusty and get somewhat out of shape. I know that we're in the middle of football season. You're not going to be out of shape, but not in playing shape, not used to playing football, because I mean, at this point, we don't know how long this is going to stretch out for and when this is going to come to an end.
And then we've seen some situations that I think one of the uglier situations we've seen in high school sports probably came last year with the whole Campbell Basketball Institute situation, firing the coaches, having the kind of grassroots support for them to get them reinstated. Do you think there's going to be a pleasant ending to this saga, or do you feel like this is a tug of war that's really gonna not necessarily put a cloud on the season, but really leave a situation where they're gonna have to make changes?
I mean, I think all of that's gonna come down to what happens today. With this meeting today, if they can get something worked out, I believe they will be able to play in the Mercedes-Benz. I think that this will have a, not happy ending, but have a conclusion that no one's satisfied with, but no one's too upset about. If it goes on further than this, the GHSA files they have 30 days to file appeal. They could theoretically wait to the end of that. They could, if they really wanted to just drag this thing out. Then if this was to get appealed and goes the GHSA's way, Gainesville, I believe, still has another appeal, and so does the GHSA. So this could really drag out. I don't know how long this is going to last or really what's going to happen with this entire situation.
And guys, now I want to talk about this from a rule book standpoint with the GHSA as far as being able to implement an education plan for players and coaches. Hayden, we were talking about this earlier, but not only do players need to be very clear on what these rules are, but coaches as well, so they're able to navigate these situations better. Just talk about how this could potentially be implemented, and in this situation, how you feel the players' understanding of the rule book was.
I think when you look at what can be learned from this, the biggest thing is these coaches need to have a fight plan that they're ready to use. I think most likely Gainesville had one, but they never thought they were going to have to use it. And if you look at the video, I get players aren't supposed to leave the bench, and I get that it's an emotional moment. You don't know what to do. But some of those coaches have to turn around to their team and keep their team on the sidelines, because this is what happens. There's some ambiguity to the rule, but it does state that if players leave the bench area, that they are subject to being ejected and suspended. So moving forward, I think coaches have to sit there and go, hey, you're the ones that are going to sit there and make sure our players stay on the bench. These group of coaches are going to go break up this fight, not all the coaches run onto the field and try to break up the fight, because then it's just pure chaos.
And then, Hayden, you also look at this and arguably you go, there's players like Xavier Griffin that did stay in the end zone of this game. He knew the implications of what might happen if he were to get involved in this. He knew that there was a lot on the line. Just talk about what you saw from some of those players who did not engage in what took place.
I think when you look at three players, one, Hayes Ken on Brunswick, and you look at Jamari Matthews and Xavier Griffin, who are both on the field and stayed in the end zone, that takes a lot of self-control. It takes a lot of strength to just not run down there. It's an emotional moment. It's a moment where you want to go down there. I get wanting to go down there and protect your friends, your brothers, these people that you spend so much time with. But it's also, you have to understand the implications of this. You have to understand that you are breaking a rule by going to that fight, and you can be suspended and you can hurt your team. So I think it showed a lot of self-control. It showed a lot of characters of all three of those kids.
Yeah, and moving forward, you can't change the rule to say, actually, you can leave the sideline, because that could just spell absolute disaster. We know how quickly some of these things get out of hand. This situation, I'd say there was probably, several individual altercations that were pretty ugly, but for the most part, some of these players were just standing around. But if you have a rule moving forward, people are allowed to leave the sideline and defend themselves. It's going to be pure chaos, and you don't want that. So when I was playing football, when I was playing sports, we knew you do not leave the sideline for any reason whatsoever. You think about a baseball game, if there's a bench clearing brawl, you can't leave the dugout and start swinging. You're going to get suspended. So I feel like it's a pretty well understood rule. The thing that I feel like is messed up is what you guys were talking about. The players that were already on the field, what are they supposed to do? I don't know the rule for that. You have to sprint to the tunnel if there's a fight. You have to run the other way or else you're suspended. Can you not move towards it at all? So I feel like that's going to be the conversation that's going to come out of it. I feel like they're going to use more kind of a film review aspect added to this new rule that they could be drafting up this year. And then the other thing, what happens if the fight is on the sideline? We see that all the time. A player will be running out of bounds, something happens, and then you got chaos on the sideline. What happens then?
And guys, tomorrow we're actually going to get the chance to hear from Executive Director of the GHSA, Tim Scott, to brief us in on some of these recent updates, maybe some of those updates that take place in this meeting today. But we mentioned these 5A games are potentially getting postponed this week. You have to talk about teams like Roswell and Thomas County Central who have a big matchup this week. Hayden, you were mentioning this a minute ago, but this could either go one of two ways for these teams. They do have more time to prepare, but it's also a time to get a little unfocused in the midst of everything going on. Just from a coaching standpoint, how do you keep your team focused on keeping the main thing moving forward to these fourth round of the playoffs?
I think one thing that is kind of nice with how this year fell out is they've already had to do this. Between the regular season and the playoffs, we had that 1 week bye week. However, this is a little different. It wasn't planned, but I think at this point, most of these teams are so talented, so well coached that they should be able to easily deal with it. However, you never know. But I think most of these teams are going to use this to their advantage. They're going to be playing really good football. It's just going to come down to how this affects teams. And now you're giving some really good coaches a lot of time to scheme up and get ready for these games and to get right. Especially the one that's going to be interesting is that Rome team. They don't have time to prepare for whoever their opponent is because they don't know who it is, but they're able to fix some stuff about them that they may have struggled with throughout the season.
And Hayden, actually, that brought me to my next point. When you look at this bracket, clearly you have that Hughes and Gainesville spot not filled in because this Rome team does not know who they're going to see. Just again, from that coaching standpoint, how do you prepare as this Rome team for the unknown?
I think you just fix yourself. I think you look at yourself and say, this is what we didn't do well against Jackson County. They turned the ball over a lot in that game. They did not play a particularly clean game. I think you go and fix those mistakes that you made in that game, and you don't worry about who your opponent is.
And I do have one more question while we have this bracket pulled up, but clearly we're waiting to see what team is going to take this other spot that's not filled in. But with this Roswell and Thomas County Central matchup, we had talked about this a couple weeks ago that they had the potential of being able to see each other in the semifinals. But here you're taking a very dominant Thomas County Central team and a Roswell team with an explosive offense. What's going to be key if that Roswell team wants to be able to claim one of these state championship spots?
Well, I think defensively, Roswell's just going to have to make those clutch, timely stops. They can't allow Thomas County Central to convert third downs above, 50%. They've got to be able to get off the field. Thomas County Central's offense is just so well oiled. They've been doing it all season long. I feel like that Roswell defense is going to have to step up, make some turnovers, and make those big stops.
Yeah, I think if you're Roswell in this game, you just have to try to force Thomas County Central to drive the field, limit the big plays, force them to third down every time, and try to just get off the field as much as you can.
As I mentioned, tomorrow we're going to get to hear from the executive director of the GHSA, Tim Scott. He's going to give us more updates on that Gainesville situation. Right after this, we're going to recap that Cartersville-Kell matchup from this past Friday night. We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing. So there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this holiday season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts. Go ice skating. Shop holiday markets. And book a Christmas trolley tour. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at RomeGeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. Looking ahead this upcoming Saturday on December 6th, there's going to be a free concert at the Dr. Pepper SEC Fanfare with Ludacris. And honestly, guys, I can't think of anything better. You're going to have an Alabama versus Georgia SEC championship rematch of when the Dogs saw the Tide earlier this season with Ludacris. It's going to be a great Saturday, expecting the Dogs to make their comeback. But guys, now let's recap that Cartersville versus Kell matchup from this Friday night. Kell defeated Cartersville 48-21, and this is actually the first time that Kell is advancing to the semifinals since 2016. Guys, I was actually at this game in person, so first I want to talk about the atmosphere of this game. I want to mention that it was absolutely freezing, but the fan base from this Cartersville and Kell team, they showed up. The crowd was absolutely massive, and we got to see a very complete Kell team on both sides of the ball. Going into this matchup all week, we had talked about their defense, but what we got to see from them offensively was remarkable. They had a really explosive start. We talked about running back Mooney Gibson all week and what he brings to their offense, but guys, I just want to ask, what were your thoughts overall on their offense, and what did you see out of Mooney on Friday night?
Well, with Mooney Gibson, we've talked to Coach May a lot this season, and it was clear that they were going to limit his touches early on in the season to save him for late. Very smart thing you do when you have a running back of his talent. So we expect him to be a major factor in this game. What impressed me about Kell's offense, though, was how they were able to sustain drives, the physicality up front. Caleb Narcisse at quarterback playing very well, not panicking on third downs. Not necessarily something he has done, but I mean, this Kell offense hasn't put up a lot of points this season, but I just thought offensively, they looked very confident, very comfortable, and they're able to win these 50-50 balls on the outside. They have a lot of different playmakers they can get the ball to. Guys like Braden Rouse, we saw him catching touchdown passes. I just felt like this Kell offense, without a doubt, was the most successful they've been all season long.
Yeah, I think you have to take your hat off to the offensive line. This is a place that, during Bobby May's tenure, this team has struggled a little bit. However, on Friday night, they were blowing Cartersville off the ball. They were getting 2- and 3-yard pushes. You would think that Cartersville had a good play and stopped Mooney Gibson at the line of scrimmage, and he gained 3 or 4 yards because they were blowing him off the line of scrimmage. Cartersville was never able to set the edge, even with those two really good edge rushers in Kylan Pope and Cole Crawford. And when you put all that together, they just had a great game. It's not what we've come to expect from Kell. We've kind of come to say this team's really talented, but the offensive line isn't playing great, and they don't have this elite offensive line. But on Friday night, they played elite.
And Greg, you just mentioned Braden Rouse, but he's a wide receiver and linebacker, clearly able to make an impact on both sides of the ball. Actually committed to Tennessee, but just talk about what he brought to this game on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's a huge mismatch catching the ball. You see him on the touchdown plays. He's able to just find that open space, set up as a target, and then Caleb's able to find him. He's got sure hands, and then defensively, he's been outstanding this season. He can have 18 tackles in a game. He can make a huge impact. I just felt like Caleb Narcisse, the confidence he's going to gain from this performance against Cartersville, I feel like it's huge, especially going up against this Creekside team. If this was another close game where they struggled, had turnovers, I don't know if they take as much confidence. But the fact that they're able to see what a successful game looks like, see what they're capable of, I feel like this is the exact thing they need at the right time to have confidence going up against what many consider the best team in Class 4A next week.
Yeah, I think we've been saying it for a while, but this team was going to go as far as Caleb Narcisse was going to take them. That the quarterback position was the one position that had some question marks. He's a second-year starter, so has been a good starter, but hasn't been that real difference maker that they've needed. However, I mean, the last few weeks, last night, on Friday night especially, he came and probably had one of his best games of his career and made all the right decisions. When it was time to check it down to Mooney Gibson while he was wide open, just coming out of the backfield in the flat, he did. When he needed to make big throws, he did. When he needed to find Braden Rouse in the end zone or in the red zone, he found him and didn't make any bad decisions. And I think if he can play like he did on Friday night, they can have a chance against this Creekside team.
And guys, as you can see here with the bracket, Hayden, you just mentioned it, but now this Kell team is set to face Creekside, and we've talked about how dominant this Creekside team has been all season. They are a very consistent team. They are a very good offensive starting team, very good, able to capitalize on defense, but this Kell team has seen a little bit of adversity this season. I just want to ask, did you expect them to make this deep of a playoff run?
Well, Jack called it. Jack went to Kell. He looked at this bracket. He talked about how battle-tested Kell would be. They played, I believe, the 6th hardest schedule in all of Class 4A. Cartersville, the 26th hardest. They've been able to win games in a variety of different ways. They beat BT 3-0. They've had the wins over Cambridge in region play. They've been in some close matchups. They've won defensive struggle games. They've won when they haven't played their best offensively. But you talk to any coach that has faced Kell this year, they say, without question, the talent on this roster can stack up against any classification. We know how talented guys like Mooney Gibson are, but you look at the Kell secondary, that's something that gives them a huge advantage. When you can play man-to-man on the outside, when you don't have to worry about getting beat deep, you can be a little bit more aggressive. And I think 13 games in the season, the defense has only gained confidence, and they held Cartersville to just 21 points, but Cartersville scored on their first drive and really struggled to find anything the entire game. Yeah, I think when you look what they're able to do to Brady Marquise and really shut him down, it bodes well for them this coming. Now, I do think that Creekside's a better running football team than Cartersville is. They have 3 or 4 running backs, and they have Caden Benson, who all can run the ball really well. But I think because they showed they could play man against Brady Marquise, those 2 wide receivers at Creekside they're going to be able to cover them. The real question is, can they cover the run without truly playing true man-to-man and bringing those safeties down into the box? I think if they can do that, they have a really good chance to win. And I think offensively they will find points in this game. Creekside's a really good defense, but I don't feel like they've played an offense this talented, at least since before region play started.
These two teams actually saw each other last year in the playoffs. Creekside defeated Kell in the second round of the playoffs, so Kell's definitely going to be looking to avenge and get the win in the 4th round of the playoffs. But again, with this Kell team, with what we've seen from them since the beginning of the season, just talk about that growth you've seen from week 1 to now with this Kell team. Well, I think you look at the second round win over Southwest DeKalb. That was another game that I didn't mention some of the close results they've had. That game was locked up in a dogfight, 10-10 until the final touchdown. I think that was to Brock Burris on I think it was a wheel route or something, but it was a play action, and that comes from the patience of the run game. They have so much confidence in their defense that I feel like even when they don't have the best result offensively, that defense is so resilient. They can go out there and get the stop and give the offense yet another chance. So I feel like that's the biggest thing that's benefited Kell so far is even when they're struggling offensively, the defense can lift them up. So that's what makes them a very dangerous team. Yeah, I feel like Kell has been a team that's gotten punched in the mouth and they just keep fighting. I think one thing that happened on Friday night was I don't think Cartersville has been in a game like this since the Calhoun game. And when they got punched in the mouth, I don't think they were particularly ready for it. I don't think they, as a team, made the adjustments necessary to win this game. And I think Kell, because of how they've had to win so much, they're able to win after these really ugly and not pretty games, but they're able to win them because they've been in them all season. Guys, right after this, we're going to get to hear from Tim Hardy, the coach at Greater Atlanta Christian, as they prepare to see Hebron Christian in the 4th round of the playoffs. We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Greater Atlanta Christian football coach Tim Hardy. Coach Hardy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, appreciate you having me on today.
Coach, you had a big win Friday night against Athens Academy. Your offense was able to put up 49 points. Just talk about what impressed you most with that offensive performance on Friday.
Well, it was a true team win for us. We played great in all 3 phases. Offensively, we're led by our sophomore quarterback, Michael Miller, who just makes great decisions with the football and is truly a dual threat, both in the running game and the throwing game. And sophomore running back Pierce Wilson, who's over 1,000-yard rusher. But man, just played really clean football. Guys blocked well up front, took advantage of some opportunities. And anytime you only punt once on the night, doing something right on offense. And so it was a good night for the guys on that side of the ball.
And Coach, now your team will advance to the semifinals of the playoffs. You're set to face Hebron Christian, the defending state champions. Just talk about what's going to be key in getting this win if your team wants to make it to the state championship.
Yeah, we're excited to advance. Man, feel really good about our squad and the way that we're playing. We're a young team, and so guys just continue to get better every week. And as a coach, you want to see improvement and to be here in the month of December and just have played your best game in a lot of ways in the quarterfinals. Just see us making progress and getting better. Hebron's got an outstanding team, and I know Coach Dow. He's a great man and a really good football coach, and so we're excited about the opportunity. Feel good about some things we'll do. But like any game, whether you watch it on Saturday or Sunday, taking care of the football, being opportunistic with the things you need to do. When those chances come for big plays, making them happen and limiting them on the big plays. So we look forward to a great week of preparation and the game on Friday night.
Then, Coach, it was a dominant victory for your team on Friday night. When did you get the sense defensively that it was going to be a 4-quarter game? You guys were going to be able to handle this Athens Academy team and get the win?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Alexander out there and his squad do a really good job. Got some outstanding players. Keon Stander for the receiver is fantastic. And so that was a key for us to try to defend him. And I thought we did a pretty good job. Again, he's always going to get some, and we knew that he would. But just felt like we played good team defense at all three levels. Our defensive line really played well. Our linebacker pursued the ball. And then I thought we made some plays on the ball in the secondary that limited the extension of some drives. But, I just thought everyone really played their roles. We tried to keep our game plan somewhat simple, and the guys could play fast and physical.
And then you guys have had a lot of close victories also this season. You talked about your quarterback, Michael Miller. How has he been able to handle these key moments of the game?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud of for our team. And then you see it through Michael, man, just a competitor, just really poised under pressure. And when the moment's big, it's not too big for him. And so I think we've handled sort of the back and forth nature of games really well, and are comfortable in that. And so to focus on things we can focus on what I need to read coverage or who do I need to get the ball to rather than just get consumed with the scoreboard. But done a good job with that. So Craig, I don't know if you saw a week ago in our second round game, we got the vaunted fair catch free kick from 60 yards. I don't know if you saw that. We were pretty excited to be part of that on the 21st.
I did see that. And I remember, I think Colquitt's kicker kicked like a 57-yarder years ago. So what inspired you to give that a try? Have you guys done that before at GAC, or have you just seen other schools try to take advantage of that?
Well, we haven't. I mean, it's a little bit of an albatross, right? It's this sort of unique rule that's in the high school level and the pro level, but not in college. Whereas when you catch a punt, you have the opportunity to free kick for wherever it is. What makes it so unique is if you fair catch a punt at the 40-yard line, you're going to go score a touchdown, right? So the only time you'd really want to do it is at the end of a half or end of the game. And so I had Landmark Christian backed up a little bit deep, and they punted and snapped the ball at 12 seconds. And that's fair catch this thing. We might be able to set it up. And then our kicker, Graham Menard, put it through from 60, which was awesome and a fun way to end. So, yeah, it's a little bit the white hat that night came up to me as we came out of half. He goes, "Coach, I've always wanted to be a part of one of those. Thanks for doing it." So it's a unique kind of thing to do, but it was sort of a highlight for us that night for sure.
And Coach, you mentioned having a young team. I want to stay on quarterback Michael Miller for a minute, but he's had over 2,320 passing yards this season. Just talk about how he's been able to step into this leadership role, even only being a sophomore.
No doubt. Well, I think people respect, competitive nature. And so Michael's really earned the respect of his teammates because he's such a competitor. And so whether that's in practice, whether that's in game, like he wants to win. So if we're in a competitive period of practice, he's chirping at the defense and doing what he needs to do in that. But then you feel him on Friday night doing the same. I think what's in the quarterback position, it's easy to go to a camp in the summertime and see guys in spandex that can run and throw the ball, but it's so much a position that you have to have a feel for the game. You have to understand, how you can feel pressure and where the ball goes. And Mike really has a great feel. He's a quarterback's quarterback in terms of his decision making, the things he's able to do. So got the respect of his teammates and coaches for his competitive nature, and then just as a guy who's well connected and humble on our team. So he's definitely not too big for the team.
Coach, I wanted to ask about the growth of this defense really in the playoffs. Region play, y'all gave up some points against North Hall, Lumpkin, Pickens, and at least I kind of thought that that's what this team kind of was. But in y'all's first two playoff games, y'all really played really good defense. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think we've really improved on that side of the ball. I think there's some youth on that side, and so we've gotten better. We've gotten better up front defensively. Guys are playing better, and we got a couple guys back who were in and out from the lineup earlier in the year. But just fired up and excited to see them really learn their responsibility and play that. In high school football, I mean, you forget how much you can improve in the context of the season. There's a big difference between being a 15-year-old in August and a 15-year-old in December, right? And when you get the opportunity to play a lot of those games, and so we've seen growth in those things. I think also we've found sort of what we do best and are trying to play to those as we hit the playoffs.
Coach, you kind of touched on it, but the depth of y'all's front seven, I think, is something that's really impressed me, especially for a smaller school. Just talk to me about how that depth has helped y'all throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, we try to play a number of guys and in those positions and sort of rotate through. I feel like different guys bring different things to the table. And if it's my 45th play in the fourth quarter rather than my 75th play in the fourth quarter, I can probably be better. And so we've rotated quite a bit there and been able to do that. Again, at a school our size, you're going to play on both sides of the ball in different spots, but we've been able to be almost a little bit more two platoon. We probably start, I think, 20 different guys in between offense and defense, which for us, that's a lot. A lot of years the quarterback and the center would come off and the other 9 would stay out. And so the fact that we can rotate some different guys, we stay a little fresher, we can practice a little bit different. But we try to run a bunch of guys there in that front seven to stay fresh and stay sharp.
And Coach, making it this far in the playoffs, clearly it's important to have that leadership aspect in a program, but just highlight some of those other players who have been able to step into that leadership role this season for your program.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the ones would be one of our senior captains, Denzel Watkins. So Denzel's a corner for us. He's an Army commit. So that tells you the type of just student and character that he has. And Friday night, fantastic. Really played well in guard and Keon Standifer, and then returned to interception, 93 yards, a pick six for sort of in the third quarter to sort of separate and functionally end the game. But Denzel's one. Junior linebacker CJ Ahuabunwa. CJ's a really good player for us, but just an elite competitor and a true leader and somebody that stands out in the way that he plays and competes. And then we've got another senior captain, Jack Griggs. Jack is a slot for us and a little bit of a quieter leader, but man, you'll talk about the respect of our team, guys that just love the way he plays and competes. And so all those things come together. I think our team this year, what's fun, it's a group that truly enjoys playing together. And each year as a coach, the process of trying to create team and team dynamic, it's a process. And when it clicks, it's fun. But these guys enjoy being together. We've got to kick them out of the locker room each day because they like hanging out. We got to send them home to do their homework.
Again, that was Greater Atlanta Christian head football coach Tim Hardy. Coach Hardy, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck in this fourth round of the playoffs.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the coverage. Take care.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell watch tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And Score Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And Score Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Score Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Score Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Score Atlanta today.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. In a minute, we're going to get to hear from North Gwinnett head coach Eric Godfree. But guys, North Gwinnett defeated West Forsyth in the 3rd round on Friday night. Now they're set to face a really good Carrollton team. Carrollton has advanced after beating Grayson. They avenged their loss from the state championship from last season. Just talk about what's going to be key for this North Gwinnett team to be competitive in a matchup with Carrollton.
Well, I think their defense has proven, I mean, this is a very aggressive, talented bunch. Primarily Jake Godfree, Coach Godfree's son. He has been a monster in the playoffs. He had 18 tackles, I believe, against Lowndes. Another huge performance against West Forsyth, a team that likes to run the ball with guys like Andrew Davis. So I feel like defensively, this team has a ton of confidence, and now we're starting to see the offense play a little better. That's what plagued them early in the season in that opener against Douglas County. They looked sort of anemic offensively, but now they've really found some creativity in the system. They've been able to come up big in key moments. They're a great second half team also. I feel like they're going to have a lot of confidence. They know how tough this matchup's going to be, but in terms of their playoff run so far, I mean, getting through Lowndes, West Forsyth in the last 2 rounds, they're definitely battle tested.
Yeah, I mean, those are 2 really tough teams. Those are 2 very different teams on what they want to do. Lowndes has been more of a ground-based offense this year, but they have a really good quarterback in Jace Johnson. They're a lot younger team than this West Forsyth team, but this West Forsyth team is a team that has a lot of experience. They made the quarterfinals last year. This is a team that plays really well, does everything really well, doesn't make mistakes. They were able to come out of those 2 very different games with these wins. I think when you look at the growth they've had, it's not they're playing better. I think they're just playing more within themselves. They're not worried about making mistakes. They're just kind of playing more loose, and it has led to the offense scoring 30 points per game in the regular season and playing just a lot better than even I would have ever expected after all they lost last year.
And Craig, you mentioned some of these players on defense, but in this matchup with North Gwinnett and Carrollton, just talk about who the players are going to be to watch on both sides of the matchup.
Well, man, both sides, I feel like defensively, it's Jake Godfree for North Gwinnett. I know he's only a junior. He's the coach's son, but his impact, his toughness, it's just incredible. And then early this season, I think he even had an injury in that first game, took a cheap shot on a cut block, and he toughed it out, was back in it, and now he's fully healthy. His impact's just incredible. And he's a coach's son, so he's going to understand the game plan. He's very quiet out there on the field, but he's always in the right spot. I just feel like that's what it's going to take against Carrollton, just going out there, buckling up and getting it done.
I think another really important player on this team defensively will be Connor Coxwell. This is a 6'5", 230-pound defensive end. He has, I believe, 7 sacks, something like 20 tackles for loss, 25 or more QB hurries. I mean, just playing really well this year. And I think we saw last week with Carrollton versus Grayson, if you can get pressure on a quarterback, I don't care how good the quarterback is, you're going to have success because high school quarterbacks don't like being pressured. There's very few of them that can throw really well on the run. And I think if you can get pressure on him, they're going to play really well.
And guys, on the other side of this matchup, I want to ask, as I mentioned, they're going to see a really complete Carrollton team. Carrollton just defeated Grayson in the third round. What makes this Carrollton team so complete going into this game?
Well, they've just been outstanding since week 1 of the season. I think in probably many areas, they're better than they were last year when they made it to the state finals, where the favorite fell to Grayson. I was very impressed with how they looked in the quarterfinals, just closing it out, keeping the pedal to the metal the entire time.
Now we're going to welcome North Gwinnett football head coach Eric Godfree. Coach Godfree, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, appreciate y'all having me.
So, Coach, your team just defeated West Forsyth in the third round of the playoffs. Just talk about what you saw from your team in this matchup that impressed you.
Right, yeah. Well, I tell you, it was a cold night. But overall, just really impressed me is it is a tight game, close game. It's been a while since we had one as tight as that. And but our kids didn't freeze up and didn't lose confidence. And when we had to have the most in the fourth quarter, but they scored early in the fourth quarter. And after that, they did not have a single first down. And offense started moving the ball at that point. We did fumble at their 5-yard line, but we had some really good drives right there in the fourth quarter. So to be able to finish a game in a tight situation like that makes me feel good about our boys.
And Coach, looking ahead to Friday, you have a bit of a challenge facing a very dominant Carrollton team. Just talk about what's going to be key in this matchup and potentially getting the win and advancing to the state championship.
Right, yeah, and they are, as you said, they're an excellent football team, just all the way around, all 3 phases. Really good offense. When you see they're only held under 50 points twice the entire season in 13 games. They can obviously score points, and they do a good job on defense as well, of course. So it's going to take our best effort, and we feel like our kids are going to show up and play hard, and we're going to prepare well, and we're definitely up for the challenge and the match that's ahead of us.
And Coach, talk about the game Braylon Jackson had against West Forsyth, his big impact at the receiver position.
Yeah, so I tell you, the big play he had in the fourth quarter had a big one-handed catch and gained, probably close to 70 yards. Was a big-time play for us, at that moment, needing a big play. And he's been a big receiver for us all year, and he's just gotten better and better and better. And he's got strong hands, physical runner, but what's even more impressive about him is his physical blocking. He is helping us out on the edge so much, and in the run game or if we're throwing screens, whatever that might be, he's really been dominant both catching and blocking.
Coach, I wanted to ask about the depth y'all have at running back. Last year y'all had Tommy Lafayette. He took the vast majority of carries. This year y'all have 2 or 3 running backs that are all kind of getting equal amount of carries. Talk to me about that and what it brings to your offense.
Yeah, sir, and it does help trying to keep some fresh legs, and they really are. They're, like you said, all 3 of them are very good. They all do something a little bit different, so it mixes up a little bit when defenses are trying to defend which one's in at the time, and it does allow them to be fresh and to run hard, and we do kind of tell them, hey, somebody's got a hot hand, and so really be some competition in that room as well.
And Coach, just talk about the identity with this team, maybe in comparison to other teams that you've coached. Just talk about what makes this group of boys different.
Right, and that's a great question. I said that the biggest identity is, they have no quit, they have no fear, they have the way they pull for each other. They want to see each other be successful. Like I said, watch our defense play. It's 11 guys as hard as they can go to the ball in an angry fashion. Offensively wise, you got receivers. When you got receivers blocking, you got something pretty special going on. They're not just concerned about how many catches they can have, but they're concerned about getting first downs and concerned about scoring touchdowns. And so the will to win that this team has is pretty impressive. You hear a lot of, hey, the locker room's tight and all this kind of stuff. And it does take that with special teams. But sometimes you got to have that will and that want to when it comes to winning and playing for each other. And these kids have that.
And Coach, talk real quick about your junior quarterback, Elam Rahman.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and he's really come on strong for us. Has a good command of the offense and has a quick release, and he's got really good zip on the ball. So, like I said, he's done a good job of really coming on and really kind of a hot hand here late for us here in this quarterback.
Again, that was North Gwinnett football head coach Eric Godfree. Coach Godfree, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck as your team faces Carrollton on Friday night.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to take a look at some scores around the state from Friday night, beginning with our 6A classification. I believe we're going to take a look at these brackets here. Guys, we just talked about this, but Carrollton is now set to face North Gwinnett on this upcoming Friday. Carrollton has avenged their loss over Grayson. They were able to come out on the strong side of that matchup and get the win. North Gwinnett defeated West Forsyth. Guys, just talk about this left side of the bracket.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Carrollton, a national kind of top 10 matchup. They dominated. A lot of people thought that they might be the toughest matchup for this Grayson team. I think they proved that, and I think moving forward, they will be the favorite. North Gwinnett, though, very tough team that doesn't quit. They're going to be very hard to kind of sustain for 4 quarters. But then you look at the other side, Valdosta had a nice win over a Walton team that was playing really well heading into that matchup. And then Buford defensively did a great job. They were up 9-0 at the half and then closed out Douglas County for the second time this season.
Yeah, when you look at the right side of this bracket, Buford has to take that trip to Valdosta. I think Valdosta will be an underdog, but that's a tough place to play, and that's a really long trip for this Buford team. I think that's a really interesting matchup.
And guys, as people say, it's hard to beat a team twice in a season, but that was exactly the case with that Buford and Douglas County. We got to cover that game earlier this season. They were able to come out with that win. Now let's take a look at our 5A classification. Here you're going to see that Thomas County Central is set to face Roswell again on that other side of the bracket. We still have a question mark for that Gainesville and Hughes matchup. Rome is waiting to see who they're going to set to face. But with this Roswell and Thomas County Central matchup, guys, here we've seen this Roswell team play this season. They're a very close-knit group. I feel like they might be able to have a little bit of a fight in this matchup, but just talk about what's going to be key if they want to secure that win.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be a high-scoring game. Roswell's offense, from what I've seen, looks unstoppable. If any team's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Thomas County Central, I feel like this Roswell offense, Trey Smith, Nick Peel, they can do it.
Yeah, I feel like when you look at what Roswell's able to do, they're going to be able to run the ball, at least to some extent. The question is, can they find those explosive plays when the run game goes away, when Thomas County Central puts so much effort into stopping the run, like they were able to find against Milton, like they were able to find against Gainesville. That's the question for Roswell. This is going to be a really tough task for this Roswell team, but I think they can pull this game off.
Now let's take a look at this 4A classification. Guys, we talked about this earlier, but now Creekside is set to face Kell. We saw this Kell team on Friday night. They're going to see a very dominant Creekside team. You mentioned they have quarterback Benson there. Guys, just talk about this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Caden Benson, he's able to really scramble around, make plays with his legs. He's been outstanding this season, and I think the confidence Creekside plays with comes from just how hard they prepared in January. Moving forward, they are extremely well conditioned on the offensive line. Anytime I've seen them play, you get to the end of the 4th quarter, it looks like they could run it back and play a second game. This is a very well-conditioned team. They're going to be prepared for a 4-quarter battle, and it'll be very interesting with what we saw from Kell last week, but I still feel like this Creekside team is on a mission.
And then on the other side of this bracket, guys, I want to ask about this Benedictine win over Central Carrollton. They had such a dominant game. They put up 80 points, guys. Just talk to me about how dominant this Benedictine team has been this season.
They've really grown. The most impressive part of that 80 points is they barely took the ball off the ground. This was mainly done on the ground. To put up that many points while mainly running the ball is really impressive. It's going to be interesting because they do have to face off with Marist, who's going to shorten this game. And if they can't stop Marist, any mistakes they have will be used against them. This is a really interesting game with a lot of clash of styles.
And now let's take a look at this 3A classification. Here you're going to see that Jefferson is set to face West Lawrence and Sandy Creek is set to face LaGrange. Guys, with this Jefferson and Sandy Creek, with these two programs, at Sandy Creek you have Amari Latimer. We've talked about him a lot this season. At Jefferson you have Sammy Brown. Guys, just talk about this matchup.
Yeah, well, I think Jefferson's gotten much better this season. Offensively, they've looked great. West Lawrence, I believe they're still undefeated. They had a nice win over Jenkins. I think the interesting one for me is the Sandy Creek-LaGrange rematch from earlier this season. LaGrange is playing extremely well, and this is a very tough matchup for Sandy Creek. I feel like playing them earlier on this season is going to give LaGrange some confidence. There were some things in that game. I think they were stopped out on the goal line early on. The game kind of got out of hand, but they're going to go into this matchup knowing that they can play with Sandy Creek.
Yeah, this may be one of the more fun brackets of the ones we have. LaGrange and Sandy Creek, that rematch is going to be a ton of fun. This is the third time they've played in the past 2 years. LaGrange made the semifinals last year. Sandy Creek didn't. The Jefferson-West Lawrence matchup, that's really interesting. I'm interested to see what Jefferson can do because they've been so close since they won that state title in 2012, but they haven't been able to come away with a state title.
Now let's take a look at this 2A bracket, guys. Here were the 4 teams that are left. You have Sumter County, Hateville Charter, Carver, Columbus, and Burke County. Just talk about your thoughts with these being the final 4 teams.
I think Sumter County is a team that could win it all. They're the team that almost knocked off Carver Columbus earlier this season, and their dominant win over Carver Atlanta shows they're the real deal.
Yeah, Carver Columbus is the favorite, but Sumter's the only team that's really hung with them lately.
Now let's take a look at our next bracket. Here you're going to see Heard County, Toombs County, Worth County, and Pepperell as those final 4 teams. Again, what are your overall thoughts on these top 4 teams?
I think Pepperell is the biggest surprise. This is their first semifinals since 1992, a team that has really come out of nowhere, and shutting out Raven County is a big statement win.
Yeah, I think there's 3 teams here that you would have expected. I don't think anybody would have picked Pepperell, even going into the playoffs, to be in this spot.
Now let's look at our D2 bracket. Again, you're going to see Clinch County, Early County, Bowden, and Lincoln County. I think that this Clinch County-Bowden game is going to be a really, really good matchup. Guys, just talk to me about your final thoughts.
Certainly, and then big win for Lincoln County over Brooks County, one of the more talented teams in this class.
Now, lastly, let's look at our private classification. Fellowship Christian and Calvary Day are set to face off, and Greater Atlanta Christian and Hebron Christian. Guys, who do you think potentially might take this state championship and win it all?
I think Hebron's still the favorite, but you look at that, all dominant victories in the quarterfinals for those 4 semifinal teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting considering how all of them have won to see what this round looks like and if these are really close games or if they're blowouts like the last few rounds have been.
We are definitely all looking forward to this 4th round of the playoffs. As always, thank you for joining us here with Georgia High School Sports Daily, and we will be right back here tomorrow.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because they didn't go through those services initially.
So our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, no need to be afraid of us.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades union, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Down goes the tide. That's what you're going to do on Saturday.
52.
No one's scared of that.
Then BYU wins the Big 12, they're left out of the playoffs, Stanford jobs.
Heard. Honestly, I believe that.
For a healthier future together,
When Ashley threw that on the drive, when Ashley threw the interception, I'm like, Caleb.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle?
That was.
Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness?
Yeah. I'm like, Caleb does his job because he let Ashley.
You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Actually enter the portal yet.
Yeah, because it is important.
It's not open yet. They're just telling the Pace Fawcett that they're going to.
Okay, yeah.